Greater Seattle Institute of Psychology. To my mother.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it.
I'm playing 2 games at once right now, by the way.
He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth.
What the
Feel
heck?
his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Got a little dog.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Jesus.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
What is going on?
And songs for them to play.
It's a whole civilization all of a sudden.
About starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Mario jump.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Chickens? I only see fish.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
New Louisville. 'Cause 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 St. Louis.
Huh.
He started drifting away from our reality.
Ah! Okay, doesn't matter if you hit.
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
Handsome queen.
handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for
Sinister serpent.
sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her
Silver heart.
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
This is RuneScape. We're just playing full screen RuneScape.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
What the heck?
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming.
This is
And then it
insane.
struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace.
Completely dissocializing, right?
My
Disassociating.
imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Wow. Now I know whose locker that is.
He began to forget the world we know.
So he just did
I
drugs
think
just
it
to...
pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
He just doesn't like his life. Look at this. So he turned to drugs. A getaway.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
He OD'd.
The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Oh, he thought they were chickens. No, they're people. It is. It is the cannery conveyor belt.
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
He cut his own head off. With what? What do you think? The thing that he's been cutting fish with. Wait, I think I have to get out that way. There we go. Yikes.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
Grandma.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed.
Milton missing. That's the painter. The painter kid.
But I understand why we left.
Your memory of Lewis Finch.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
I think this is my room.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
I really like it. It's not a puzzle. It's more
the
story
power had been
rich.
shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
The thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out.
The house.
It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
What? I just walked in a straight line.
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
Oh shit.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but
House
that
is
I need
repaired.
you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go.
Please let go. Please let go.
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again.
Oh,
The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot.
I can do this with my...
We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance
God,
to
I'm
be here at
playing
all.
as her kid. Ah. This was one of the most depressing games I've ever played. But man, is it good. Oh. Jeez. That was awesome. It's cool how they put their pictures in there. What a story. That was an achievement to make it all the way to Johan. Alright, it's 12 o'clock here. I have to leave in 3 hours. I have to go to an apartment viewing. I don't know if we want to start off another one. I had a feeling this one was going to be short. But man, was it good. Ben Esposito, design consultant. Beyond effects. Melissa Foos. Peaches from Walters. I think these are the voices of the game, like the actors. All the playtesters. Trick or treat, smell my feet. Hey, so this is I don't know how to put this. This is the end of the video. So, you can you can watch other videos that I've made, as you can tell. But usually what people do is they press next or click on another thumbnail that interests them. Hopefully, one of them have piqued your interest by now, and you're not still here. No, yes, you still are. Okay. Another thing you can do is like this video. If it really, if you liked it. Other than that, the next thing I would say is subscribe, because clearly you don't, you're lost. You're just here now. You're still here. Wow. Huh. Since you're still here, I guess, I can tell you a little bit about myself. I just ate breakfast, and it was good. It was waffles, actually, with just a little bit of butter and some maple syrup. I cannot believe you're still here. Please leave now.